50 years ago, the greatest play in NFL history took place. And it was all improvised, baby. Give me a beat. 1972 playoffs. Raiders at the Steelers, down by 1 with 22 seconds left. 4th down on our own 40. Hit those keys. The call was 66 circle option. Drop that bass. We were making things up right from the snap, and I was scrambling. I see Frenchie Fuqua downfield, and I let her rip. Then Jack Tatum laid the hammer down. Franco Harris plucks the ball out of thin air to win the game, but I still don't know what the heck he did on that play. Improvised, I guess. Who hit the ball first? Did he catch it? I don't know. I didn't see any of it. I'm thinking, wow, perfect pass. All I know is that play launched the Steeler dynasty. And the sweet music of 4 Super Bowls started with Mr. Improv himself, the great Franco Harris. And if you don't know about Franco Harris, folks, well, you're about to find out who he is.
You gonna be a football player when you grow up?
Today is the best day of your life. Believe it.
Give me 18 years of daylight. That's all.
Greatest leader I've ever known.
What a ride it's been!
I loved being a running back. Those tough games, those big games. I loved it.
Ta-da! Crawford Grill #2. Opened up in 1943. What a building. Still standing, but just like a lot of things, it needs some work.
Work has always defined Franco Harris's life, whether it was on the football field or in the community. Look no further than his passion project to restore the Crawford Grill in Pittsburgh's Hill District.
I bought the majority interest in the property in an underserved part of the community. It's been closed for a number of years, so we're hoping that this could ignite the Middle Hill.
It's going to be very important that we get better here, that we make this better. We have to bring this back to life.
The Crawford Grill was the gathering spot to listen to jazz in the city Franco Harris has proudly called home for 5 decades.
You have New York and Chicago, and then right in the middle you have Pittsburgh. And so a lot of the jazz greats would stop through Pittsburgh. And the Crawford Grill became one of the most renowned historical places in the country for jazz.
Andy Warhol's sculpture was on this wall. He sat in these booths with all the greats.
The Crawford Grill is a legacy, and it's important to keep that legacy alive.
Holding the history is very important.
The Crawford Grill put Pittsburgh on the map in the jazz world, and the man restoring the grill was a pivotal player in the city's rise to football prominence.
Franco was the heart and soul of our team when Franco arrived. We became the Pittsburgh Steelers. Franco brought the Steelers out of the dark ages.
Before Franco, the Steelers had gone 40 years without a single playoff victory.
Franco was a great teammate. He, in his mind, could see us getting to that playoff, and that kind of really spurred the team's success.
With Franco, Pittsburgh reached the playoffs 8 straight years and won 4 Super Bowls.
Unlike today's football, everything went through Franco. Okay? Not through the quarterback. One handing off and I'm watching it and I'm going, God, this guy's special.
A rare blend of size, speed, and savvy, Franco was named to the Pro Bowl in each of his first 9 seasons.
Here's a man that was 6'3", 230 pounds. He said, can a guy this big run that fast and got those type of moves? And then all of a sudden he's by you.
He carried that team. He was the face of the team. He was the army, the Italian army. As Franco went, that's how the Steelers went, and that's how this town went.
He is the consummate team player. It wasn't about how many yards he gained. All he cared about was winning.
Though focused on team goals, Franco retired as the NFL's third all-time leading rusher, and to this day, he holds the Super Bowl record for career rushing yards.
Some guys are just big game performers, and that was Franco. When the game's on the line, this guy was going to show up.
It's not fancy, folks, but that's how you win 4 Super Bowls. Hard-working man.
Franco's a legend. You're gonna be remembered by the games, the moments you had, just like how we still talk about the immaculate reception to this day.
From out of nowhere came Franco Harris, riding a white stallion, heading up Franco's Italian army.
He's kind of an icon. He is an icon. Even in the airport, you can see the big statue of him.
You know you made it, when you just can call a person by their first name, and everybody knows who you're talking about.
How I got here, did I ever think that something like this would happen? Absolutely not. Growing up, I was lucky that we moved to the town of Mount Holly. It was a very interesting neighborhood. My dad was a careerman in the Army. World War II, where you had Caucasian and African-American soldiers married to people from all over the world. And my mom being Italian, none of us talked about college growing up. We weren't going to college. I wanted to be special forces, all that kind of stuff. All through high school, had a job on the Army base.
But once Franco stepped on a football field, it was clear that Special Forces should take a back seat to the New Jersey-backed special running talent, which drew the attention of numerous top collegiate programs.
Sports was an opportunity for a lot of people who didn't have a lot of opportunity. Getting a football scholarship changed my whole world.
In 1968, Franco enrolled at powerhouse Penn State University.
I think I had a good college career, but it wasn't great. Never made All-American, was never up for the Heisman or anything like that.
In 3 years with the varsity, Franco rushed for over 2,000 yards. But his numbers were depressed as he split carries with classmate Lydell Mitchell, who was also from South Jersey.
We met probably around March of 1968 when we were seniors in high school. Both ended up going to Penn State. We really were a package deal. I don't think we really ever competed against each other. He got to carry the ball and I got to carry the ball. I got some touchdowns this week. Next week, Franco got touchdowns. So that's how it kind of worked. We always supported each other. Franco got hurt our senior year, and I got to carry the ball more.
Mitchell set numerous Penn State records and finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting. Meanwhile, Franco's football future seemed in doubt. But draft day would bring a shocking call.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Look at that crowd. Draft day back in 1972. Picture this guy in his apartment all by himself. The telephone rang. And I answered it, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. First round, 13th pick. First running back taken. Surprised everybody.
The top running back for Penn State was Lydell Mitchell, who was Franco's very good friend. Mr. Rooney really wanted Franco. What he saw was a young man that was committed to being the best football player that he could be.
They just said, congratulations, you're drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm like, oh, It wasn't the team I wanted to be drafted by, right? And I'm like, I'm going to this team, the worst team in NFL history?
When the Steelers drafted Franco Harris in 1972, it had been 25 years since their one and only division title.
He cried every single day. I had to hear this. Man, you're going to the Colts. They just won the Super Bowl not too long ago. Steelers never won anything. I'm going to this lousy team.
But once he reached training camp, Franco was surprised by what he saw.
The first couple of days there, I'm watching these drills and these running backs and linebackers. I'm saying to myself, can I make this team?
Franco was never that great practice player. First couple weeks of training camp, question marks abound about Franco.
Franco had a habit of running up to the line of scrimmage, stopping and looking around. He kept doing that. I said, oh, well, we got us a dud. When it changed, and it did change really, really quick, we played a preseason game in Atlanta. He did the same thing that he would do in practice. He'd start off one way, stop and look, then he'd come back to the next direction. And all of a sudden, he took off. He ran 75 yards, and I think I ran on the sideline half the way with him. But I said, oh, my goodness. So we got one.
The veteran players who were here realized we have a legitimate running back. All those doubters and question marks about Franco Harris got eliminated on one particular preseason play that didn't matter about anything.
For Franco, when the games did start to matter, the doubts resurfaced.
Oh my gosh. Preseason and regular season was like night and day. It was like someone turned on a switch, and the pace, the hitting, the violence, whole new level. And I'm like a deer in headlights. There are those challenges that either makes you or break you. Played Cincinnati, and I fumbled, and we lose the game. Now I'm in Chuck Noll's doghouse.
Even worse than being in Noll's doghouse, Franco found himself on Noll's bench.
I made a statement to myself. I said, the next time they put me in, they'll never take me out. Now we're playing the Houston Oilers. Somebody gets hurt, Harris, get in there. First 100-yard game, first NFL touchdown. Then I went on a run. The rest of the season, that was incredible.
Franco kept his promise to himself. Chuck Noll would never find a reason to bench him again. On his way to Rookie of the Year honors, Franco tied Jim Brown's then NFL record of 6 straight 100-yard games.
Franco Harris played in the shadow of All-American Lydell Mitchell at State, but the Steelers scouts deemed Harris a better pro prospect and drafted him before Mitchell. They were well advised.
Franco became just the 5th rookie ever to rush for 1,000 yards, bringing an unfamiliar sensation to the Steel City.
He didn't come back until the 5th game, and we're only playing 14 games, but gains 1,000 yards rushing. That doesn't happen. You know, all of a sudden, you could see things change. It was like hope was in the air.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
Steelers fans were starting to go crazy.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
They've been like pent up for 40 years, and it's like, oh my gosh, all these fan clubs started to happen. Dorellas, Gorillas, Jackham Dobra Shonka.
We all had fan clubs, but Franco had the fan club.
Though just a rookie, the son of a soldier who dreamt of being special forces, had raised an entire army.
That Italian army thing, man, that was strong.
What's red, green, and white, man? What's that? Red, green, and white.
Time flies, man.
It was an excitement at the stadium on game day that was just uncommon.
50,000 people standing and applauding. Listen to the ovation for Franco Harris.
This made it so much fun. Steelers Nation was starting to build. You felt that energy, that spirit, everywhere you went. Boy, was it a time. Frank Sinatra even was inducted in it.
Went to Palm Springs to practice, and who came out to see us? Frank Sinatra. Excuse me. You know, we're becoming national. I'm just like, this is too cool.
The Steelers did it their way, winning the AFC Central with power running and defense.
That year, we went 11-3. Shocked and surprised everybody.
But the biggest shock in NFL history was still ahead. Ever since he came to Pittsburgh in 1972, Franco Harris has given all of himself to the city. He's a regular in the community. Everybody knows Franco, and Franco knows everybody.
Hey, Mo. Well,
Thank you, Mr. Franco.
Thank you, Mbuto.
Thank you, brother.
Well,
I appreciate it. He's bringing us back together, and I'm thankful for that.
The Crawford Grill is a monument. Thank God they're going to save it. Beautiful.
Franco's work in the community started almost as soon as he set foot in Pittsburgh. He won the NFL's Man of the Year award in 1976, and from his Italian army to all his other endeavors, he's always been one of the guys.
Well, we're jamming today. We're jamming today.
You'll be happy that you spent time playing for the folks on the hill. You were ready for the prime time when you played the Crawford Grill.
This is the immaculate reception.
I tell you what.
Thank you,
Doesn't
Franco.
get better than this, guys.
Everybody knows Franco, and everybody knows the immaculate reception. It's the first thing that welcomes you to Pittsburgh at the airport. But to tell that story, Franco enlisted the help of a Raiders rival turned good friend.
Hey.
We were wondering.
Look who's here. Franco.
Phil.
Hello, my buddy.
You made it. I want to welcome you to Pittsburgh.
Thank you, my buddy.
Nice to see you.
Franco, you've never looked better.
So we should have a statue of Phil way behind me, down there. When he first saw it, he saw it from behind.
You were loafing down the field, so I let you go. It was about right over there, Franco. McMakin dove into the back of my legs as you were trapping the ball.
But wait, he made a great block.
A great block. Hey, Franco, I should have my Italian Army helmet.
So, Phil, I don't have a helmet, but now I have another hat for you.
Thank you, my brother.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
put it on me. Yeah, baby.
What about we break some bread tonight, Rico's?
We'll talk some immaculate reception. Let's go, my buddy.
I can't tell you how wonderful it is, 40, 50 years later that we're sitting down here enjoying the dinner and have some conversation about that game in 1972.
The Pittsburgh Steelers against the Oakland Raiders.
It was always right around Christmas Day, that Saturday special.
Saturday, playoff showdown. It's Pittsburgh's first playoff ever, while the Raiders are almost a perennial in the postseason head knocking.
We were thinking, we're going to beat you. John Madden could beat everybody. You guys had never won a playoff game ever. You guys were horrible.
Defensively, it's a tough game. Make no mistake about it.
End of third quarter, we're winning 3-0. Well, we got another field goal, so we had 6.
Kenny comes in, boom, boom.
Oakland's Kenny Stabler going 30 yards for the touchdown with only a minute and 13 to go.
Kenny scored. You would have had 7-6.
But you were way deep when you started your drive.
Right.
Pittsburgh's ball at their own 40-yard line.
And then it was 22 seconds left, but it was 4th down.
A long way.
A long way.
It is 4th down, still 10 to go. 22 seconds remaining.
I'm in the huddle. I'm saying, no penalties.
As the tension grows and the drama builds.
I mean, were you guys feeling like elated? Were you feeling scared? Were you feeling?
No, we had you. We had you, man.
Hang on to your hats. Here come the Steelers out of the huddle.
I mean, we try to get all the help we can get, right?
You bet.
And it was around Christmas time at that time. You know, my mom being from Italy, didn't know that much about football. And so my brothers and sisters, my dad, you know, they're watching the game. My mom's sitting in the kitchen, and she knew something was wrong. So she went to her album collection and got her album, her Italian album, right? And put it on. At the time of the Immaculate Reception, Ave Maria was playing.
All right, here it is. Bradshaw running out of the pocket. Fires it downfield, and there's a collision. And it's caught out of the air by Franco Harris.
It was crazy. Anything could have happened.
Phil always said, Franco, you came out of the backfield, you were loafing, and you were doing this and doing that. I was supposed to be blocking. When Terry's scrambling, I'm leaving the backfield, having no idea what I'm going to do.
Franco Harris holding the football. I don't even know where it came from.
If I was one step later, if I was one step faster, it never would have happened. The timing was just immaculate, I guess you could say,
It was
right?
immaculate. There you go.
Franco Harris was in the right spot at the right time.
And my brothers went and said, Mom, Franco did it and the Steelers won.
Franco did it!
The place has exploded. Santa Claus is congratulating Franco.
And like my mom just calmly said, I know.
Just like that.
You had a happier moment in your life, Franco? Was this the top?
I don't think so. I think this was it.
In 5 decades since, the Immaculate Reception has consistently been voted the greatest play in NFL history. Though it didn't lead to a Super Bowl that year, the seeds of a Steelers dynasty had been firmly planted.
But you just didn't let it go to waste.
The Immaculate Reception did not go to waste. Great statement.
Oh, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, salute.
Beautiful.
Franco Harris's interest in resurrecting the Crawford Grill makes perfect sense when you consider his NFL career. His feet were pure jazz.
He had so many different styles of running, and that's like a good musician. He might be running and might look like a piano player. But then when he hit the line, it might sound like a drum. He was poetry in motion, and he was music to the ear.
He just had this fluid movement. Franco's ability to read and his ability to stop and start. You could see him kind of dance around, boom, and then he'd be gone.
Kind of aware of everything out there on the field and where people are coming from and what that defense is trying to do against me. He's making that adjustment on the fly. It's a unique gift he had. I can't think of another player like him.
Everybody's going to have their own style. You know, some guys are straight ahead power runners. Some guys do the moves. I liked it all. I felt I could do it all, whatever was called for. at that particular time.
Franco was the rarest of running backs, a nimble big man who grew stronger the longer the game or season went on.
He's kind of the glue on that offense. The value of Franco Harris at the end of the season getting stronger and into the playoffs, you kind of lean on that. You lean on Franco, not only the physical part of it, but the emotional part as well.
Man, I still remember some of those games, wind chill, minus 30.
Oh, man. The year the top blew off the field, we played the Raiders. Oh man, that was the world's worst.
Franco Harris scores.
But you were running the football, so everything was okay.
Come on, Franco!
During the Steelers' dynasty of the 70s, Pittsburgh played in 17 postseason games. Franco scored 17 touchdowns.
You know, when the game's on the line, can you make something happen? Big game demand big moments. So that was my mentality.
In 1974, Franco put together one of the greatest postseasons ever by a running back. He scored 3 touchdowns against Buffalo in the divisional round. In the AFC Championship game in Oakland, 111 yards and 2 fourth-quarter scores.
That guy's big and strong. You don't realize Franco, 220 pounds. He gets better as the game goes.
When we beat Oakland in Oakland, it was such a moment of joy knowing that we're going to the Super Bowl.
The Steelers' first Super Bowl would take place in New Orleans, the jazz capital of the world. It was the perfect setting for Franco to put on a virtuoso performance.
Let's go, Franco! Take it in, Big O!
Just 3 years after joining a franchise without a single playoff win, Franco helped lead the Steelers to a title with a then Super Bowl record 158 rushing yards.
We gotta break this one, baby. There's touchdown here. Bradshaw giving it to Harris, getting a key block for Mullins, running to the left, turning the corner, he's in there for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris running wide to the left, walking into the end zone for the touchdown.
Not just a single-note player, Franco provided the crucial block on the Super Bowl clinching score.
Here is Bradshaw rolling right. Bradshaw gets a big block. He got a great block for Franco Harris and fires into the end zone complete for the touchdown.
Franco Harris says, we're number 1, and he's been number 1 today, the most valuable player.
Franco was incredible. Who else was it going to be? Not just for that game, but for the season.
They were about the worst team in pro football. They rebuilt by the draft. I would say their best years are ahead of them.
Winning that and knowing that you're the best in the world, best football team in the world, you know, that's an unbelievable feeling.
Franco would get that feeling again the following season, as the Steelers' passing game took center stage in their Super Bowl X victory.
You don't always have to have a large ego to be a great football player and a great teammate, and that's exactly what he was. He was as happy when we won Super Bowls when Swan and Stallworth are catching balls all over the place.
Really a great feeling, being that you're number 1 again, and we just had some championship blood in us. And we went out there, and it was tight, and we just proved it.
All right, Franco Harris, the great running back, as I said, the best big running back maybe in the history of this game.
Oh,
that
well,
takes in a little bit of yardage. All right, Franco.
Up next, an offbeat opponent causes the Jazz man to lose his cool.
You can see Harris is a little hot at the situation.
Offense, take that football all the way up the field. Franco, let's prove again we have a running game. The Steelers are so great and they play the best.
best of all, to take our Pittsburgh to the Super Bowl.
No Steeler of the 70s moved to the beat of his own drum more than Franco Harris. Though he could seem aloof, Franco was always focused on doing what he thought would most help the team win.
Franco had this habit of walking up and down the sideline, just prancing, walking. And he was in his own world there. That was him getting his mind right about the job.
Franco is Franco. Franco is his own man and his own mindset on how things are approached. His workout schedule was different than anybody else's. Where we were all starting to lift weights, Franco was different. He, jump on a trampoline, and he would do other kinds of workouts. So he did them all by himself, somewhere because no one else was doing what he was doing.
He would jump rope every day, like the boxers do.
And like the best prize fighters, the sensible running back found ways to avoid taking the big hit.
We used to tease Franco about, hey man, quit running out of bounds. You're knocking over the Gatorade bucket, We would mess with him like that.
People always talk about, be running out of bounds, right? They are right with that. After I gained 10, 15, 20 yards,
he actually faced criticism, but that came from people who wished they had him. Well, he runs out of bounds. He doesn't take the hits. Franco's a smart man. He protected his body. If you can get 20 yards, do you want to have a collision and get one more? Or get out of bounds and don't get hit?
In the length and breadth of his career, thank God he ran out of bounds because he was healthy to be able to carry the ball and play in the games that he played in.
He's a thinking man all the time. It depends on what down it was and how much he needed to get. If it was the only down he had, then he wouldn't run out of bounds.
Franco hit that one hard and quick.
On 3rd and 1, he's coming. He was a horse, and they rode him. And you never wanted to get Franco on a roll because he got better and better and better.
Franco Harris. Oh, you're right. When you say that the longer the game goes, the better he gets. He sure does. He just seems to wear everybody else down.
The offensive line, they rallied around Franco. They loved blocking for Franco. He was their guy.
He was their guy because Franco's teammates knew nobody was more loyal. Cowboys linebacker Thomas Hollywood Henderson found that out after insulting Terry Bradshaw prior to Super Bowl 13.
Hollywood Henderson made the statement that Bradshaw couldn't spell cat if he was given the C and the T. That's how dumb he was.
We know that's how he is, and I find it interesting. I've never seen too many people like that, and I'm kind of enjoying some of the things he's saying. I think it's funny.
Most guys just sloughed it up, but Franco, for some reason, it struck a nerve with him. You don't say anything derogatory about Franco's teammates.
that really did piss me off, what he was mocking Terry.
He always had my back. He's the ultimate teammate. I remember against the Cowboys in Super Bowl 13, I got body slammed.
Thomas Henderson came in to nail Terry Bradshaw. It was whistled dead. That one doesn't count.
He went nuts. He went nuts.
You can see Harris is a little hot at the situation.
Back then, I still had my New Jersey attitude. Me and Henderson had some words.
We get in the huddle. He's never said this. He said, Brad, give me the ball. Give me the ball.
We're the Pittsburgh Steelers, baby. I was ready, and Bradshaw called my play.
Terry Bradshaw. Giving the ball to Franco through the middle, and over the 15 to 10 to 5. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. They opened it up down the middle, and the big guy went straight ahead through the hole.
Franco would not be stopped. He galloped through their late, pumping, eyes racing 22.5 yards to Pacer.
When he hit it up through there, we didn't see Hollywood Henderson anywhere.
No one could have got Franco that time. You know why I was pissed? He was pissed because they drove Bradshaw back.
The Steelers have won it. There's Franco Harris. Money player in the big game.
Money player, better man. When the final whistle blew, Franco was the first person to console Henderson on the loss.
That's a great example of Franco Harris. He just cares about people. No one else does that. You know what? That's unique for Franco Harris.
I love being a running back. I love those tough games, those big games. I loved it. I just loved it.
People gonna look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and say, hey, those are those guys that won 3 Super Bowls, something nobody else ever done before. I feel pretty proud about that.
The following year brought more of the same for Franco. A 6th straight 1,000-yard rushing season, and another winning effort in the Super Bowl.
A touchdown for the Steelers. The 4th Super Bowl. Not much doubt about the best team of this decade.
When I came into the league, my first thoughts were, I'd like to win a Super Bowl. And how unbelievable was it that we did it again and again and again. So when I look back, you know, I really accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
Franco would play 4 more seasons with the Steelers. Perhaps no player was more instrumental in turning Pittsburgh into the city of champions. And as he transitioned into retirement, it was clear his work transforming his adopted home would be far from done.
We're still making music. Want you to know that. We're still making music.
Welcome, Franco Harris.
Oh, that brings back great memories. I'm going to savor this for a minute. Is the Army here? Huh? My teammates were men of character with a lot of heart and soul. This was the team that I belonged to, a team that will live forever. We tried to give you the best we had. So I want you to remember Rocky Blyer, Joe Green, a great leader, Jack Ham, the perfect linebacker, Mel Blount, the cornerstone of our defensive backfield, Terry Bradshaw, who had a will that was second to none. It was great. It is truly immeasurable and certainly unforgettable. Don't forget us. Good luck. God bless. Thank you very much. Don't forget us.
Don't forget us. Fitting that Franco Harris spent his Hall of Fame speech talking about others. It's exactly why he'll always be remembered. He's continued his work off the field long after his playing days have ended. That's why he's a pillar in Pittsburgh.
We have a lot of history walking up here. A lot of history. A lot of history.
Man, you know we're behind you all the way, man.
Thanks, Nelson. Let's go, guys. Come on, Nelson. We are in the great Crawford Grill.
Where's the judge now?
This is
Where's the judge?
historic. And Nelson, so this bar would be packed.
This place was 4 deep at the bar. We were all like family, the staff and everybody.
This is like home, man. You know how when you feel comfortable when you're going home.
This is just the beginning again.
You're a visionary. And you're providing a vehicle in which we can all ride again. And we thank you for that, and we honor you for that, and because that's very, very special.
This place has a certain spirit, you know, and
you're still in here.
Boy, you can feel it.
Just for the record, we have a rule. If you bring some sheet music up there, and when I took the music stand and I put it down, I looked at him. You don't be reading no music up there, and if you can't play, get off the bandstand.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, man, you mentioned that because I'm all set to play, and so they changed the key.
It's the same thing like we're lined up ready to go. They change the defense right away, right? It's like every play is drawn up to make a touchdown, right? It doesn't happen out there. You know what I mean? So, so you got to do your own thing. Pick it up.
He was a jazz football.
Unbelievable he picked that ball up 2 inches off the ground.
He used to do that all the time.
Oh, that's improvisation.
Running to the music.
Franco Harris ran to the music from his signature play throughout the rest of his football life. It's why the city he lives in and the team he played for won't forget him.
Franco's impact on the franchise would be hard to overstate. That's why I think it's appropriate that we recognize Franco's remarkable career by retiring his number 32. The team will be wearing a special commemorative patch.
I started calling him Mr. Pittsburgh. Franco was the heartbeat of the team.
It's very hard to get him to say anything about himself. That's the way the big boys act. This could have never happened to a better guy than you.
He has no ego. He's on a pedestal, and rightly so, because he continues to give back and he continues to be involved.
The Pittsburgh Steelers!
Franco means a lot to the city. If you ask around him, man, they always talk about how much of a good person he is. Then they talk about the football stuff.
50-some years that we've known each other. He's one of the most giving and kindest people you're ever going to meet. He doesn't do it for show. He's just a beautiful person.
But life is beautiful, man. You meet a bunch of nice people. That my man Franco, he had the same personality he always had.
We don't get many heroes, and Franco's one of our heroes.
Thanks.
Franco's.
He is #1 by far in this community, and people to this day absolutely love and adore him. If you need someone, that's who you go to.
Franco never said no to anybody. He's a special, one-of-a-kind kind of guy.
Forget about the football. It's about what kind of person is he. He's the kind of guy that you said, man, I know I can't be like him, but I sure wish my kids were like him. I love the guy.
He's just a good man, okay? I'm not saying this for a camera. He's just a good man. He called the other day because I've been sick. And he didn't have to call, but he goes, hey, Brad, I know you've been dealing with some stuff. I love you, man. I'm right here for you.
I think it's important for all of us to have our players back and off the field too, you know what I mean? It really does make me feel proud that I'm part of this group. We have that brotherhood and love for each other. What's greater than that? Saying that you're part of the best team ever and that I did help contribute to that. That's way beyond my wildest dreams.